crazy!
Welcome back, everyone, to Overwatchers, the podcast all about, well, Overwatch. I'm Garrett Weinzerl, and I'm sitting here with not Patrick, a.k.a. Patrick, and Chanman, a.k.a. Chris. Welcome back, boys.
That always doesn't sound right. I don't know why. Every time you introduce him as not Patrick, it's like, is this opposite day or something?
I'm pretty
What's
sure,
going on?
I'm fairly certain it's the first time I've introduced him as not Patrick, but we always do mention it at the end of the show when we're telling everyone where to follow us on Twitter.
True.
I really think it would be funny, Patrick, if you started like a Not Patrick 1 account that was just like Nether Patrick, like you gave it like a, you kind of already have a mustache, but if you gave it the more stereotypical like twirled mustache and you just tweeted a bunch of things that you would never say.
I live to confuse people, and so far I've succeeded pretty well, so I'm glad.
Yes, absolutely. Well, welcome back, guys. Chris and I are fresh back from the just perpetual barbecue machine that is Austin, Texas, as we went to DreamHack Austin, the first DreamHack ever to be on U.S. soil. I had a lovely time. I had a lovely time hanging out with you, Chris, and eating my way through that fine city.
Me too. Like, oh, the barbecue there. So the first lunch that we had there, because I had the worst luck with the flight going there. I ended up with a 12-hour flight that should have lasted like 3 or 4 hours. Oh. So I got there at like 1 because I was expecting to have, maybe eat dinner or something that night. Didn't get a chance to do that. So the first meal I had there, lunch I had there, it was really great barbecue place. Probably, in my opinion, the best place in Austin. Some people say Franklin's, but La Barbecue or LA Barbecue is my favorite place in Austin. And I ate way too much. I literally didn't eat dinner that night because I ate so much for lunch. And that was just the start of an entire weekend full of that. And Garrett joined me on a little Uber trek around South Austin.
Oh man, what a fantastic story that was.
Yes.
We literally got stranded in an empty parking lot.
Yes, because the restaurant I was wanting to go to was closed for lunch and did not realize that. So
yes,
but that was great. I went to school, lived in Austin for 10, 11 years, so it was great being back.
Yeah, but I did get to enjoy some Amy's ice cream, which was delicious, and I can't find a white chocolate like proper ice cream anywhere locally now, so I'm just sad because that was very tasty.
Well, I wasn't in Austin, but yesterday I went to the Moss Temple in Kyoto and I drew some sutra for an hour. That was interesting too, right?
Way to bring the class and way to just like be like, oh, you guys went to Austin and ate your fat American faces all the way through it, and I sat down with a nice cultured experience.
Exactly.
You know what? I think as much as I enjoyed it, I think what you're describing sounds awesomer, and I think I would have preferred to be in Austin with you guys to play video games. I have to admit.
I would be hard pressed to say and mean it that I would rather not be in Japan because I've never been, and that sounds amazing. But nonetheless, so it's an interesting day, right? It's an interesting day for us three to be here and to talk about Overwatch because the open beta. Has ended. We're here for a funeral, guys. We're here to put some roses on the coffin of what I think was a pretty damn stellar beta, and begin a violent withdrawal for the next 2 weeks.
Well, it feels like we're almost used to the withdrawal now between the end of the first closed beta and the second closed beta. We're sort of getting used to it. But it's the end of the entire beta, and that's it. There's never going to be another Overwatch beta. Well, maybe some other games will come out at some point.
You heard it here first, folks. Patrick is used to withdrawal.
That's not a fun life, actually, being used to withdrawal.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's finished, and I think the open beta went really well. it was, a super good experience. I don't know how you guys, how it went for you guys and your friends.
Probably the best beta I've ever been a part of, to be quite frank. I mean, just in terms of it being a real beta again, we discussed this in the previous show, but to fulfill what a beta actually is and to have the interaction between tester and developer and just the fun I had playing it, I feel like it's the best beta experience I've had. The truest and the best one.
I really enjoyed it too. I think next to it is probably Hearthstone, honestly, because that was
Hearthstone was like a finished product, like beta-wise.
Well, that's kind of the thing.
I was literally, and then when it launched, it was just kind of like, hey, woohoo! It launched, and it's just now it's real. It wasn't even right. I don't think I give any feedback for Hearthstone because it was. Like, it was a finished product for the most part.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, too, I'm, like, thinking back to the Diablo. Like, the Diablo 3 beta actually worked better than Diablo 3 at launch. I didn't give them...
that's cool.
Beta Auction House is better.
It's also true, though. It's also true.
For Diablo, I think there was only like half of the first act for the beta too. So
that is true, and I played through that half of the first act so many damn times for that Diablo beta, and I gave them no feedback. I was just like, cool, it's a free Diablo demo. I had a great time with it.
But yeah, this for me the open beta for Overwatch was kind of special because as we've mentioned a few times, maybe a couple in passing, the was very closed, and there were a lot of people from the outside looking in and trying to basically guess at what the game was going to be and sort of getting annoyed with people liking it. And I've said, I have been incredibly enthusiastic about the show beyond the fact even that I have that I'm participating in this one. In this show, I've been talking about Overwatch in all of my shows, in my friend shows, in my non-gaming shows. Like
real quick, Patrick, I have to stop you.
So there were a lot of people saying,
Patrick,
all right, dude.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yep, I hear you guys okay.
Okay. Is Patrick like roboting and freezing for you?
Yes,
am I breaking up?
I can barely understand you. But I'm just curious if it's on my end too, because it looked like Chanman was freezing up there for a second as well.
Oh, all right. It was roboty for me. You've been okay for me though, Garrett.
Oh, okay.
Am I back? Am I back? Am I okay now?
Not really. Kinda. You're still dropping syllables, but
yeah, it's
okay. Let me see if I can use another internet connection. I'll be right back.
Alrighty.
Okay. Yeah.
This will certainly make the VOD interesting, but it was really bad.
Yeah, we can also try Discord if we have to, but.
Oh, yeah, we'd have to go sans video, but...
we can keep video on here if you want.
Oh, I guess that would work.
Yeah, if we just care about audio, right?
Yeah, that is true. Well, let me just pause the podcast recording because there's no reason for all this to be in here.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Sorry, Chad. I know I don't... we usually just power through, but that was getting pretty rough.
Yeah, we don't want to miss anything like in the audio version.
Yeah,
so.
you are coming through fine, so I guess it just was on. Because when it first started, you both completely froze on camera, and then
I had a moment of that with Patrick, so it must have been I don't know. I'm not going to even try to guess how Skype works at this point.
I think you should probably get a small altar and a sacrificial animal of some sort. And then draw the Skype logo in its blood or something. That's the way.
Wow, what did I get back into?
We're trying to think of the proper way to commune with Skype to try and fix it, and I'm pretty sure it requires black magic.
How do we give libations? It's just Skype libations. I usually prefer the wine and pouring, but man, he prefers killing things, so it's cool.
So did you stop the show, or are we still?
I stopped the audio recording. The poor video viewers will just have to deal. But
yeah,
you're still coming through a bit on the hazy side, but it looks like you're clear.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, no, you're looking
clearer though.
You're definitely clearer.
Okay.
So hopefully we can rock with this.
Rock with it.
All right.
Lean with it.
Okay. Maybe should I cut my video?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
You're good now. Only problem is I can't remember where I left off because apparently there was some massive lag, or you just talking over me. But
we could probably just talk about open beta again. You're about to talk about open beta.
I can say I can go with what I was going to say. from the beginning.
Okay, yeah, just go with that.
Okay. Now?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, but the open beta has been a really interesting experience for me because we've been in the closed beta for a long time talking about it, and I have been incredibly excited about the game as, obviously we do a show about it. And I've been talking about it in like my French language shows, in my non-gaming shows. I've been talking about it everywhere, and people were almost starting to get sick of it, and now finally they have been able to experience it. And I was very curious about how they would what they would think about the beta, because a lot of them are not, as I was, not into competitive FPSs, just as I wasn't into card games when Hearthstone came out. And honestly, I've been very surprised at how many people have come back, through Twitter or comments on the blogs or stuff like that, saying, actually, you were kind of right. I pre-ordered the game. I didn't think it was for me. And of course, not everyone, right? Not everyone is going to be into this game, but I would say a majority of the people who were sort of uncertain about what would happen have actually enjoyed the game, and many of them have pre-ordered it now and are looking forward to the launch. So I guess for me, the biggest thing is I'm not crazy. It actually is a great game and everyone enjoys it.
Right. No, it's been fantastic just seeing the fruition, right, of all of this projections that we've had or predictions that we've had about this game. Actually getting a lot of players to actually have the game, and then really experience everything we've been talking about on these shows, and then translate that into subreddit interest, into viewership interest on streams and in YouTube. It was crazy seeing them announce one extra day on the open beta, and it was either 1 or 2 on all of Reddit that day. That was insane.
Oh God, yeah. It was not. We were at DreamHack. We couldn't even I was kind of just expecting to come home and just be like, and it's gone.
Right,
and it's gone, guys.
Right.
I was so excited because and Patrick, you again you bring up such a damn good point, which I think is I think this game is going to appeal to a lot of people who don't typically get into shooters, especially shooters that are strictly PvP. Because I'm one of those people. I typically don't really enjoy those games. I played a little bit of TF2, but that was really it. These have never really been my cups of tea. So Chris can attest to this. I was Jones for Overwatch so bad that at DreamHack I was like, man, I just want to play Overwatch. I just want to play Overwatch. That's true.
We went to the Twitch lounge.
Yep. And Chris goes, well, they've got computers at the Twitch lounge that have Overwatch installed on it, and you can log into your Battle.net account and play right there. And damn it, that's exactly what we did. We went and we waited in those incredibly comfy racer chairs that I now want, and played some Overwatch with your son. And actually, Chris and I were losing terribly until Chris's son joined. Once Chris's son,
we were terrible until that happened.
Once Chris's son joined, we went on a win streak.
Yeah, that was odd actually, but yeah, he definitely is a pretty good player too.
It felt a little rough. I'm just gonna say Chris and I tried our best, but sometimes
our best
you need the help of a 12-year-old.
Yeah, yes, exactly. 10-year-old to be exact.
Oh, there you go. 10-year-old. There you go. Yeah. At least he's in double digits.
Talking about skill, I'm wondering if you guys felt the same way. I don't know if you played enough to sort of get a feel for the population skill, but I was very surprised at how, and this is going to sound bad, it really isn't, but I was very surprised at how bad the people were in the open beta. And what I mean by that is that we were all just that bad in the beginning of the closed beta, and we didn't realize it. And I guess, we didn't realize how much we learned through those last few months. And when I was confronted with the people just discovering the game, and obviously when you don't know what to do, you don't know how things work, and it felt so silly. Like people were doing stuff that I was like, how do you not understand that this is the other thing that you should do? And obviously when I first started the game, I was doing the same thing. So give me I imagine
give me an example, like what exactly?
Just
I'll give you an
ridiculous
example.
Team comps or go ahead, Gary.
I got a 20 kill streak with McCree, and I suck with McCree.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting 4 or 5 gold medals every game, play of the game every game, for the first few days, and obviously it's just because I know the game and they don't. I'm not trying to say that I'm some sort of incredible player, not at all, but it's just people would not stand on the point, like they would go chase others, and it would be like, just worry about the objective. But obviously when we first started, and so it got me thinking about the devs looking at us getting into the first closed beta, and I'm sure they have playtest sessions and stuff like that, but taking their head in their hands and going like, what are these people doing? Like, it's so obvious, and us running around like chickens with their heads cut off. It was, it must have been really interesting. And that's the experience I've had in the beginning of the closed beta, of the open beta.
I have a feeling that if you've worked at Blizzard for any amount of time, that you've seen at least one other game launch, that they're probably not putting their hands on their head going, what is this? Because I don't know about you guys, but I played in vanilla WoW, and I got to level 40 before I realized I could give talents to my pet.
Hey, did I tell you guys? I told you guys this, right? I didn't realize you could blink backwards with Tracer until not too long ago. All right, so that's my embarrassing.
And I've mentioned
that wasn't I guess privy to or didn't realize it. So you do learn new things as it's going on.
Yeah,
but for me though, I didn't have any of those 12 those gold medals because I was trying to play. I used it as an excuse to try to catch up with some of the characters. I'm just really terrible. So I was just playing Genji. I was just playing Tracer. I was just playing all of these guys I never play. And so I was better than them, but I wasn't like superstar, like play the game and 30, 40 eliminations and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I played on the first day of the open beta and just felt like a god. Like I was like, wow, this must be what it feels like to be a pro player. Because I don't really have that experience anymore.
Nice.
And then I played yesterday after I got off the plane from DreamHack, and that was without a doubt the single worst day I have ever had of trying to play Overwatch. And it was what you were describing, Patrick. It was just like, why do we have 3 bastions on attack on Hanamura? What is going on here? Like, and like, I'm not one of those guys who goes, don't play defense heroes when you're attacking, but like having 4 defense heroes and no tank and no heal, I don't know what to do in that situation.
Well, one thing's for sure, I think I literally had almost every single game in open beta have a bastion in it. Like almost every single game. I can't even remember a single game that didn't.
Well,
but that's how it was in the beginning of the closed beta too, right?
Yeah, it absolutely was.
Every week for the open beta.
I remember playing it at BlizzCon after it got announced. Everyone jumped on Bastion. That was all it was. It was just turret wars.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think and people on the on Reddit were doing memes like, don't call it play of the game, call it bastion of the game, because he was getting all the plays of the game all the time and we're getting frustrated, and that's stuff that we saw in the beginning of the closed beta, but not since then. So it's easy to forget. But already within a week, I think the level of understanding of the game has been greatly improved. It just took about a week, and I'm curious how it's going to go when the game launches, because I'm sure a lot of people who are into the game when it launches have played the open beta, so maybe the community is going to understand the game a little bit better. But I think the one thing that was disappointing, though, even more than all of this, was the lack of communication. In the closed beta, by the end of it, people were discussing stuff. And here, I think it got a little bit better by the end, within a week. But people were just not I'm not even talking about with the voice chat. I'm talking about the chat, the text chat. Mm-hmm. Nothing.
I had the same experience. I think I had, even today, I think I might have had, on average, 1 or 2 messages per game. And that's including GGs and things like that within groups and with just all type of chat. It was definitely a trend that I saw too.
It was damn quiet. And after our last episode, we were talking about how it was probably important that a lot of us, tried to make it a point to use the voice chat. I made sure to turn on like group chat and team chat. And I know there was also a bug going on where it randomly turned itself off, but I made sure to always have that sucker on, and no one was ever talking back to me. And I think part of that was probably that bug, because that bug persisted up until I think like the bitter end of the open beta.
But even the text, it didn't. I mean, I was talking, and it feels very frustrating too. Like you're talking to people and no one answers. It feels like you're actually in a room in front of them, and you're saying, "Hey, how's it going, guys?" And everyone's just looking at their book or their phone.
Well,
like,
I mean, that sounds like a very personal reaction
it's
to
it's that embarrassing nightmare that Patrick has where. Hey guys, and everybody turns their back and starts talking.
Yeah, exactly.
Patrick, you probably wouldn't feel so bad if you would just stop gaming in just your underwear all the time. Also, so.
Oh man, that's so good. One thing I thought that Blizzard was really smart in doing or what they did for open beta was they had the Brawl available, which is of course going to be available for launch too, which is cool. But they made it random heroes the whole time, which was fantastic actually, because I played with a lot of guys I play socially with, right? And I've been waiting, we've been waiting all this time to finally get to chance to play with them because they didn't get into closed beta. And of course the very first instant the reaction they have is that I'm so far behind, and just your typical getting into the game for the first time, you have that just fear and that sort of thing. And the Brawl was great because even folks like myself, right? I'm really good with certain characters, but I suck with other ones. And I feel like that type of random hero Brawl, every time you die, it levels the playing field out a little bit. And it doesn't make it so scary for everybody. And they get a chance just to play every single character in this kind of like, just tasting a little bit of it and then eventually finding what they like. So it was really smart that they kept the Brawl like that instead of changing it daily. So kudos Blizzard for that.
Yeah. I'm wondering if this isn't there were a couple, Arcade was really fun too during the closed beta, but I think these are the two that that would draw people. I don't think anything else. Although now that maybe it's time to transition to the second topic, now that we're not getting competitive in at launch, maybe Brawl is going to see more play. But Garrett, do you have anything to say about that piece of news?
Just that it's nice to be right once. I'm usually not right.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Yep.
Yeah.
So that feels good. No, I'm not obviously not surprised because I was thinking this was going to be the case. I'm glad, which is really funny because if you go back a few episodes, I'm very confused and adamant about the fact that I think it's weird that they don't think that this is needed for launch. But after playing with it, I think we all agreed on the episode that the game was the competitive mode was kind of fundamentally flawed and not fun at all, and kind of making us not want to play, at least not play competitive mode. We just kept sticking to quick play. Which
I played it a lot, but yeah, it wasn't where it needed to be, and Chris and I thought it was still going to be available at launch with a little bit of tweaking, but they're just going back to the drawing board apparently, which is probably a good thing, and especially with the discussion about the heroes competitive mode revamp, which funnily enough, Garrett, you've been clamoring for, and you weren't on ITN to discuss when it was announced, so that was a little bit I was sad.
Such is the history of me doing Blizzard podcasts. The large news always breaks at the most inopportune times.
Yeah,
right.
But so they're going to something that is a little bit more similar to the StarCraft 2 competitive mode, right? With different leagues and stuff like that. Which again, I think Garrett, you've been saying is the best one. Why don't you just do that? And so I'm thinking maybe they're going to leverage this as well for Overwatch. It could be cool.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I hope so, because like even though I believed that they were going to put it in, I'm definitely happy that they did not include it, because just like you, Garrett, it was like the one negative experience I had with the game.
Yeah.
Like it's the only thing that made me not want to play Overwatch.
Yeah,
was the competitive mode.
It was the only thing that was 100% in control of the game makers that I questioned, that I felt was a hiccup. Anything else I had that was negative was usually just a result of playing with random people.
Yeah.
And even that was kept to a bare minimum. I mean, it was a closed beta for the majority of my experience with it, and the community was really awesome, which tends to be a theme in closed betas. It's like, oh wow, this is great. It's nice to, and I'm sure part of it is just being with the game from the ground up, as opposed to getting a game where the majority of the community already know how to play and kind of come down on you if you're a new player. But yeah, this was right there with you, Chris.
Yeah, and I think that there is one concern with them not having it, and it's just that it's not, I guess, feature-wise, like super rich, and it might not appear that way, I guess, to a lot of folks. You know, it's like it could be just a very simple experience. You go in and you just play 6v6, and that's it. And there's just kind of invisible MMR that you don't see, right? So I feel like they have to come out with something pretty soon after. You know, I'm hoping that's pretty soon after, so that they can satisfy these people that will be, you know, just chomping at the bit for something competitive, something to play for when you're playing Overwatch. But overall, I think for launch, you know, you definitely don't want any kind of negative, you know, critiques or that sort of thing, you know, or at least people's first impression to be something negative. So I think it was smart.
Yeah. That's a really good point to bring. I can already see all the reviews. They're just like, seems feature light, because it is. I honestly think it is for a box product, for a full price game. I mean, yeah, on PC you can get a $40 copy, but you can't on console.
Right.
I think $60 is a little high for this game, to be completely honest.
What do you think, Patrick? You think it's
well, it's, you know, I'm not objective on this. I've played, as I've said a few times, you know, several hundred hours of the game, so I would pay, you know, any price they want
well,
from me to play it. But I understand, yes. Especially if there isn't a competitive mode, I think you will, even without a competitive mode, you will get, you know, 15, 20, 30 hours of fun out of the game, which I think makes that kind of price reasonable. When you buy a single player game, you're going to play it for 10 or 15 hours and you pay full price. So that's how I gauge my, you know, worthiness of prices. It's, do you get 15 hours of enjoyment out of it? I personally got a lot more, but yeah, I agree that the competitive mode is needed in order for this to become a good value proposition. It's also, the competitive mode is not available until you hit level 25, which at the rate I play, it still took me a week to get to. So I'm guessing for a lot of people it's going to take more than that. So
That's a good point.
I think they're going to have, let's say, a few weeks after launch of kind of a grace period before people start saying, oh man, you know, there's nothing to do, right? So hopefully they can get the competitive mode back in within, I think if they start talking about when it's going to be back on, within a few weeks, maybe a month, they should be good, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter, because I obviously paid my $60, not $40, because I wanted my skins. I like the game enough, but I don't know, just when I look at the pricing for a more traditionally sold video game, I'm just like, yeah, I expect a little more for $60.
Yeah, I think you're.
Yeah,
right.
no,
I do agree.
No, no,
for sure.
Yeah,
but
no,
it's sort of
clearly
difficult to argue that it is. I mean, people are going to say, yeah, it's super fun, I'm having great fun, so I want to pay for that. But it's sort of the, if you don't look at it reasonably, it's just a competitive PvP experience without competition. There's not enough content there to justify $60. It's just that it's so fun that you want to, but it's almost unreasonable at that point.
Yes.
So everybody that's played it will spend 60, 40,
Yeah.
40 or 60 bucks on it. It's just a matter of the people that haven't played it and you're trying to get them to play. That's going to be the harder sell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and obviously, like you said, Patrick, I don't think it's just you who can't be objective. I think if you're on this show, chances are you probably really like this game.
It's likely.
Nah, dude.
Yeah. Those are always the
Battleborn,
reviews
know,
I
I'm
really
just here
like.
just to talk about Battleborn the whole time.
No, this is just I see those reviews from time to time, especially when the shows are kind of up and coming. It's like they're too positive, and it's like too.
Oh, I know.
It's like,
Like,
what do you
wow.
expect? Do you think I'm going to start a dedicated show about a specific game because I hate it? Like,
Well, not to mention they're not listening because we're not always positive.
yeah.
That's true.
I just said that I think without a doubt that this game is not worth the price that they're
Right.
selling it for. And I really love
talking
this
about
game. But anyway,
Talking about Battleborn, I bought it.
Yeah. Okay. What'd you
Okay.
think?
Well, I can't play it because I'm in Japan and it's not released until the 19th here. So I'm super
Great
frustrated
game.
now.
Great game. Huh?
It's like I was on the fence, but I thought, for general knowledge, I should get it just so I know what the game is. And I played. I bought it in a French store with a French credit card on a French Steam account, and I can't play it because it is not coming until the 19th in Japan. So yeah, frustration. And then the reviews are coming out and they're not great. So
Yeah.
anyway, sorry, it's not the show about Battleborn.
I was about to ask if I should be interested because I haven't been following it at all, and I'm not interested.
Well, so in the sense that there are so many hero shooters coming out, I think it's if you like Overwatch, there might be another one that you would like. But in my experience, I've tried a few of them. None have really gelled, but Battleborn seemed like the one that could be the most potentially interesting for someone like me, especially since we're talking about content. It has a single player campaign in that game, so I thought maybe that could be interesting to try out. But apparently, and that's where I'm coming back to the fun of Overwatch. Apparently, Battleborn isn't as well crafted and as fun, according to it's just a few reviews that I've seen. But
Yeah.
So that's where I'm thinking, well, Battleborn is also a full-priced game. Overwatch is a full-priced game, but even if there is more content, on a nominal level, on the features on the box on Battleborn, am I going to want to spend that amount of money in Battleborn where apparently, if it's not as fun, whereas in Overwatch, yes, it's less content if you look at the features, but you're actually having fun for a longer time playing it.
Well, yeah, that's
right? It's
hard
when
to
you put
argue
it
with.
like this, it sort of sounds silly, but it's still the thing that people don't know the games are looking at, right? They're thinking there is a single player campaign, there's a competitive mode, there's this and that. So I think it's a
Value.
reasonable way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Anyway, moving forward with kind of the ending of the beta. So we know there's no competitive mode coming when the game releases in 2 weeks. We also know that the game we play during open beta is the game we are going to be getting in 2 weeks. No other modes, no other heroes. Actually, one less mode since there's no competitive mode. So there's that. Obviously, there's going to be bug fixes. I'm sure we'll have patches quite frequently after the launch. It's just kind of expected nowadays.
I think they've been adding voices and stuff like that as well. There's been every day almost a small, a few megabytes patch when I launched the game with, I think it was additional voices and little things like that. So
I like to think that they just invite all the voice actors over and they just have a party and they just have microphones and whatever weird things they do in the voice of the characters
Say
they
this.
add. Yeah.
This sounds cool. Yeah. Creating a dictionary of.
Talk about the craft services food. Talk about the craft services. Jeff Kaplan did also say, though, when they were saying no competitive mode and nothing else will be added, that they are working on, quote, a ton of post-launch features and content, and saying that the summer will be, quote, pretty amazing. So that's cool. And summer is rapidly approaching towards us. So that definitely satiates me, the person sitting there going, it's a little expensive. I'm sure, because they have said that there won't be any like DLC that's specifically that's gameplay oriented, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's, I mean, no, I don't know that they've said that. DLC, you mean for pay or?
Right. There won't be any like
it won't affect the core.
exactly like
game
if there's new
itself,
heroes
yeah.
added, if you bought it, you get those new heroes.
Yeah,
If there's new
for
maps
eternity.
added,
Right,
if you bought it, you
Yeah.
get those new maps.
Of course. So, but I mean, it might still happen during that, ton of post-launch features during the summer. It's like you, Garrett. That's what caught my eye. It was like, wait, summer? That's like immediately after launch, right?
Yeah.
And it runs to September 21st at the latest. It's very clearly that date. And maybe it's just Jeff being enthusiastic and saying we have stuff coming after launch. It's not necessarily that there will be lots of features released in the 3 months after launch, but it's what he sort of indicates. So it got me super excited about what we might see. Obviously, competitive is going to be the first thing we see, I think, but maybe quickly after that, we're going to see modes or characters, and that would be amazing. Maybe other stuff too.
My prediction is I think by the end of the summer we see at least 3 new characters and 3 new maps. That's my prediction. I mean, everything I've seen Jeff when he was on the overview and even this and even Jeff Goodman too when he was here. I just feel like they're pretty close with some of the characters that they've been testing, and I would not be surprised if we see that much actually post launch. It's just my guess.
That sounds
I don't know
realistic
anything.
to me.
I don't know anything more. So competitive for sure, and I would think some spectator stuff too.
Do you guys think we'll get any type of test realm for features like that?
We need it. There needs to be test servers, but
yeah, because there's nothing like that in Hearthstone whatsoever.
It's a marketing thing, they don't want to reveal any of these type of characters, even though it is very necessary, in my opinion, to test things and have the test community, get a chance to give them feedback.
Right, because we have it for some Blizzard games, and they're completely absent from others like Hearthstone. So that's what I was curious. And then you have games like Heroes where sometimes they use it, and sometimes they're just like, "Hey, new hero, here you go." And they're like, wait, but the last one we had on the public test realm, why didn't we? Don't worry about that, just play. Oh, it's Li Ming and she's totally broken. We'll fix her next week.
There's no pattern to that, or no? Yeah.
No personal baggage whatsoever. But no, I do find it interesting though that I realize that at Blizzard all of the teams work they kind of operate independently of one another. They don't necessarily have to all hold the same values and go about producing their game and releasing it and iterating upon it the same way. But I do find it so strange that in the realm of just testing and adding new features that it's so kind of inconsistent across the board that each team kind of has their own way they handle test realms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we know each team kind of functions independently anyways, right? So it doesn't surprise me that would be the case. I mean, I can't. Can you imagine the Hearthstone team doing it, Garrett? Like, there's no way, right? These card reveals are so huge, and they spend so much time using it as marketing, just how to market them and having it be just part of, just the huge intrigue for getting people to buy it. So ruining that. There's definitely a lot taken away when you already know what this character does, and maybe it just doesn't interest you at all, and so like the hype is kind of gone. It would be, it would be a reach for me. I don't think that they are going to end up doing that, which is too bad because some of these things do really need testing. Maybe they'll select a group, NDA them or something, and have them try it out.
Happen.
Yeah,
but do you guys feel like in Hearthstone it's maybe I don't know, but it's maybe easier for the dev team to evaluate the potential power for different cards and to make sure that nothing is completely broken, because yes, there is a lot of skill involved, but it's also like calculations more than actually aiming the thing with your reticle. I'm wondering if it's easier because they have no PDR at all ever, right, for Hearthstone. So
right.
I think it is easier. I mean, to answer your question, but I don't know how much easier. There's just no physical. Yeah, there's no physical dependence on a pro player using it, right? Like there's pro players on the Hearthstone design team, like or at least players that in the realm of that kind of skill level, where I don't think there's nearly as many in Overwatch on the Overwatch team that could, at least give them a lot of data in terms of how good this character is.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll NDA people.
Curious to see how that will all shake out.
Yeah, it's exciting regardless. I mean, like we get a product, and then we're gonna get a lot. We're gonna get maybe piecemealed, just here and there throughout the entire summer. That's kind of how I hope it happens, instead of just everything all on September 21st, because then BlizzCon's right around the corner after that, right? So
Yeah.
just give us one thing every 3 weeks, man. That'd be awesome. That'd be
They said
amazing.
that wasn't gonna happen. That's not how it's gonna work.
Yeah,
Right.
I'd like it to trickle too. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Well, final talking point regarding the open beta. Chris, you really wanted to talk about this. Was just the overall, just the viewership, the jump in viewership on Twitch, the activity on the subreddit and the forums.
Yeah, it's again, it's just one of these things that we're seeing the fruition of what we thought were things coming to fruition that we were projecting. And viewership, for those you didn't see, the Overkill at GG tournament, the King of the Beta, the last beta tournament, got up to 18K at one point, which is 4x maybe what we've seen in the past, 3x, at least 3x what the previous viewership was for a tournament.
That is nuts for a game that isn't even out yet. Like, it's reminding me of the Hearthstone beta. That's
totally
exactly what we were seeing
like,
during the Hearthstone beta.
Seagull is basically Trump. We don't have a crypt that's bringing stuff from other people, but essentially, right? I mean, Trump was a very small streamer, and he was streaming like a little bit of WoW and a little bit of everything, and just a few hundred, and he became that phenomenon that Trump is now, like a streaming phenomenon, and we're seeing that with Seagull, and in a way, it is parallel. It's a little bit of a parallel to what I saw with Hearthstone early on, and I think this is indication of just how many users that we saw in the beta. Are we seeing like 3 or 4x what we saw in closed beta? I think it's more than that, probably. It's probably like 10x, maybe 5 or 10x. But it's great. It's great to see that we're seeing the population grow, and in turn we're seeing all these different content makers getting more views, and the subreddit I think grew 30,000 or something like that, or just something ridiculous like during this open beta. And again, it's just more people wanting to discuss this game. From what I heard from just hanging out with some Blizzard people this weekend, they're extremely happy, just with how everybody's just, really jumping on and just being interested from all over the place, like all spaces.
Yeah.
Not even just gaming spaces. So it's fantastic.
I'm really happy to see that. I'm honestly not all that surprised that once just about anyone who wanted to could play it, that also the people who wanted to watch it all of a sudden jumped up. I think there's always a correlation between a game actually being played and wanting to be watched competitively.
Yep.
But
it's always one of those things where it's like, of course we project it and it's totally logical, right? But when you actually see it happen, it's like, yeah, that's right.
Well, it feels good. It feels good as a fan, right? Like, we feel kind of vindicated in our love of this game. It's like, yes, everyone likes it.
How many times were each of you guys? How many times were you asked, like, do you think Overwatch is going to be good? Like, why are you guys like jumping into the whole podcasting thing now? Before it's going crazy. Now, why not just wait till it's launched and when it's for sure going to be good? I mean, how many times have you guys been asked that?
Many times.
Me too. Right?
Yeah, the answer is clearly because we're excited. I mean, Patrick and I, we had a long discussion about this before we even started the damn show, because I don't know, but because I never do a show about a game I can't play yet. And I broke that rule with Overwatchers, which was because I came back from that BlizzCon after the announcement of Overwatch, just shaking with excitement.
Yeah, there's definitely something. I mean, we've seen a few articles, and it's easy to try and predict the future. Maybe everyone's going to be wrong, but we've seen a few articles of people saying, yes, Overwatch is going to be big for this and that reason, and people who are knowledgeable about the space and knowledgeable about the genre and all of this. And I mean, it's nowhere near there yet. There's a long way to go until we can say that Overwatch is a significant success, and so many variables. Maybe it's going to be big for casual players. Maybe it's not going to make it in the competitive scene. Maybe it's going to remain relatively confidential. We don't know. But certainly with this open beta, it seems to confirm the idea that people are watching games they're playing. And now that they're playing Overwatch, they are, jumping on Twitch and stuff like that. It might be an artifact of the open beta too. Maybe once the game is launched and after 2 or 3 weeks, it's gonna come back down. We don't know. We'll see. And also, it's important to realize that a competitive scene takes time to build. It's not going to be, established from day one. It's going to take at least a few months, if not a couple of years, for it to be established as, to reach its full potential. So,
yeah, I mean, don't be surprised from a competitive standpoint. This is already halfway through the year, right? And once the launch does happen, then we're gonna have a half a year. So any kind of crazy big things, I wouldn't necessarily expect until probably a full year, getting a full maybe 2017 type of thing. But over the rest of the year, I'm sure there's going to be some cool stuff that are going to be happening. Lots of organizations. I mean, I talked to so many people with different organizations that are already planning for Overwatch things, events and things like that. So we'll see plenty of competitive events with some of our favorite Overwatch teams now, and hopefully some new ones are going to be popping up. I mean, I haven't seen any pop up quite yet, from this open beta. That's one thing I was discussing earlier. But there's got to be, we're going to start seeing new names popping up here, and probably in the next month or two, and hopefully competing against some of the top teams that we've seen up to date in the beta.
Yeah, that's the question I honestly get more than anything is, do I think this is going to be a successful esport?
Mm-hmm. Right.
I see that I get asked that all the time. And for me, it's a resounding yes. I can't imagine a world where this isn't a very popular competitive game, because it's so, to me, it's so damn fresh. Yeah, you can compare it to TF2 all you want, but it's so different in so many ways.
Yeah, there's definitely work. There's definitely a good amount of work, and I think it's something that the community can help with too, just with things like trying to have some online tournaments that have some proof of concepts. Obviously, some LAN organizations can start trying out things too, but it's going to be a matter of just trying to find what the right production setup is for Overwatch, and showing it from a spectator standpoint in a way that's digestible and understandable. Because what we have right now, I'll just be frank, is not quite there. Even just with the events that get 18K, I mean, that spectator is going to be, is way worse than what we're going to end up with. I'm just when to look at POV versus when to be overhead. And, these are things that everybody's still unsure about. Once that's figured out, which will take, training and, a lot of people, just a lot of feedback from the community and people trying things, I think we'll see a very impressive product, and one that I've been saying for a while. I think it will push esports into another level of production quality.
Yeah,
that's required, because the FPS is a team FPS, totally different, especially a class-based team FPS is a totally different place that than other games like MOBAs, and it's even further than something like Counter-Strike, because we need to show entire teams engaging constantly, just not after they're dead, right? And you can focus on one guy because he's the only guy alive on his team. This is like we're constantly having to show entire teams interacting, and projectiles here. It's not just like an invisible bullet that a guy falls down. So it's going to require the best production setup, probably the most manpower in production too that we've seen in any game.
Yeah, it's funny. Spectating isn't a thing. I feel like it's discussed a lot now. I mean, it was talked a lot about back in the earlier StarCraft 2 days, especially. Once we all learned the name Adebisi, who is a legend among observers.
He was way better, right? And then Funka, and then now Flo.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting, because that's, the community needs time to sit with the finished product and learn how to use the spectator tools. And an isometric game asks so much, I think, so much less of you than a full 3D team-based shooter.
Yes. Yes.
I think I still go back to that original Shoutcasted game where we notice like, oh, they have preset camera positions around hotspots around the map, and that's clearly tools in a kit. I think that type of stuff will go a long way to help. But yeah, getting it in people's hands and letting them learn how to properly spectate is going to go a long way to helping the watchability of this game.
Yeah. The hotspots, I think in the end, having everything automated is like this perfect world, right? If Blizzard learned all these things and they added all these like cameras that are in different sections of the map, and it somehow could pan around like the payload and stuff, like just all these awesome things. I'm sure they'll be working towards abilities like little tools like that, but just having cameramen with free spectator and learning techniques on their own, I think is probably the best step to start, and maybe the most consistent way, definitely the fastest way to get this type of quality to the events as soon as possible.
Yep. Yeah. Well, shall we flip gears then and talk about some of the? My God, am I going to use the term extended universe to describe something that's happening in Overwatch? We got more Overwatch comics since we last sat down and talked. We got a Reinhardt comic and we got a Junkrat Roadhog comic. I want to talk about the Reinhardt one first because I guess technically it came out first, didn't it? There's actually an animated version of this book that was done by Madfire Studios, which was how I read it. And guys, I now need epic Overwatch music every time I read a comic.
It took me a while to figure out where the volume was because it was really loud when I was listening to it. But yeah, it was a cool way to definitely watch the comic.
Yeah, it feels like this is the way Blizzard should have done it. Really, they just took the job that Blizzard did with the comic and animated it and added sounds and added, it makes it so much more dynamic. It's really awesome. But that comic already in the static form I thought was really cool. But then there's this one panel that made it amazing. And I don't know if you guys caught it, but it's basically the story of Reinhardt going, traveling, and then they come across a town where there's a biker gang terrorizing the town, right? It's not nothing big, right?
You didn't set up properly either. It's totally an old little German town, and he's going on about currywurst, and I couldn't be happier as a fan of German cuisine.
I've been to Gamescom a few times, and when we go to Gamescom, in Germany, the one thing I want is a currywurst. And every time we go with developers from Blizzard, it's like this one thing. When we have the full day of interviews, they sit in a room for a full day and they have nothing. They don't go outside. But at break time, at lunch, if we don't get a currywurst, it's got to be, we eat our currywurst.
I'm not familiar with currywurst. So is this what I think it is? It's just like curry bratwurst type of things, or?
So it's a sausage with some kind of curry seasoning.
Okay.
And that's it with fries. It's just
okay.
Yeah,
cool.
so it gives it a little
it's
spice.
Fast food. It's German fast food.
Yeah.
But that part is important in Reinhardt's life, so I like him even more. But there's this one panel where he puts on his armor, and he goes to fight that silly biker gang, and they're called the Dragons. And there's one panel where he sees them coming out of their hangar, and in one panel you see a giant dragon spreading its wings, and
all the minions
the
look
bikers
like smaller dragons.
Sorry, Garrett?
All the other little bikers look like smaller dragons, like humanoid dragons, basically.
I thought they were like knights on horses with weird faces, or maybe they were.
Were they knights? Because there was one in the foreground that just straight up looked like a humanoid dragon. Maybe I misread it, but it's funny. It's funny you led this with. I'm not sure if you guys caught it. And I'm like, dude, this was the biggest, most interesting sell in the whole comic.
Right.
No, so the thing is, I talked about it. I was on another podcast on the Payload a few days ago, and they didn't really catch it, and I was like, but this is what makes the entire comic, right? It is what informs you about Reinhardt's character. He sees the world in this delusioned way, and that's how he approaches every battle. And it explains so much about the things he says in the game and his attitude about everything. And I thought it was fantastic. So yeah, I'm glad you got it too.
Yeah, I think this is the best comic so far. And I don't know. I don't think it's because I just read the animated version, which was cool and just had enough of an extra little kind of flourish to everything that it made it more interesting. I think it was just because it was, I think, the most interesting character story. And
From a writing standpoint, yeah, I mean, I agree. I definitely agree. What about the art standpoint? Like, they're using different artists for every one.
They're using different artists for every one,
Yeah,
and
that's kind of
I
interesting.
really liked this was Neskane,
Yeah,
who I was
Neskane.
completely unfamiliar with up until this comic, and went and found Neskane's DeviantArt. Just a very talented artist. I really like his work, and I really liked it for Reinhardt because it had this kind of whimsical, almost like I was looking at an old school kind of fairy tale storybook.
Yeah.
And I felt it was really fitting for this guy who clearly sees himself as the Wandering Knight. Like, this is the Wandering Knight trope in this far, like, future story setting. And instead of just walking around with his rusted armor, he's walking around with rusted power armor, which is just, oh, God, I want the Reinhardt movie now. Like, I want this. I love this so much.
Yeah, and his friend Brigitte, which he mentioned in the game too. So now, well, we don't know much about her. We don't know if she's
It's like a
his
squire or something.
sister or a friend.
Yeah.
Or,
I now want the story where Brigitte and Torbjorn meet and just get to just geek out about engineering for a whole afternoon.
Yeah.
He starts critiquing her engineering of Reinhardt's armor, and she starts giving him crap about his shoddy work on his own turret. I want that.
Yeah.
that would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be pretty fun.
It's a very, very Whedon-esque meeting I would like there. But yeah, I think overall, I think this was just the most interesting one, and I wanna compare it to the Junkrat Roadhog comic.
Sure.
So quickly, what did you guys think of that? I'll start with you, Patrick.
It was in between both. I mean, McCree was, I think, the weakest of the three. This one was kind of okay, was kind of fun. It was a little bit, I don't know, it felt like you know immediately what's going to happen.
Right.
It's so clear. But it was okay. It's, again, a sort of snapshot of trying to flesh out the characters a little bit. And it does flesh out Roadhog and Junkrat a little bit, and gives them more reference points for who they are and how much of of good bad guys they are. And Junkrat is clearly insane, like clinically, medically crazy. So that was kind of fun to see as well.
Yeah,
I like it.
I liked
I thought
the,
it was okay.
I liked the Chewie Han Solo relationship that the two had, where Roadhog.
That's a good comparison.
All of his
actually.
dialogue was just ... or exclamation points. It's clearly unintelligible sound effects. And Junkrat always just kind of repeats back what he clearly just said to him in question form, and then answers it. And it's just, I thought that was fun. Chris,
Yeah, it's almost like Roadhog is Junkrat's, I don't know, sounding board or conscious or something. He's just this thing that's always with him, and he speaks to him without him ever replying. It's a fun relationship.
It's like, I don't know, boss. I don't know if we should be using that many explosives.
Yeah, but definitely the comedy relief for this. I feel like just when they all finally get together, or whenever that does happen, I feel like these guys will be the comedy duo, right? And we kind of knew that too.
It got a bit dark at the end, though.
It did. So I kind of wish it was a little bit of either or. Like, they would have gone either harder with just some of the funny slapsticky stuff, just the crazy stuff, right? Or they would have just been more demented, And I feel like they kind of took this middle route, which is nice and light, but I don't know. I actually expected a little bit more from these two. This is like one of the storylines I was looking forward to the most out of all of them. So
yeah, I was looking forward to it more as well. When they debuted Junkrat and Roadhog in the game, or I guess this was before, but I forget exactly when it was that they announced these two heroes, but they announced them in unison, and we got some like key art, and there was like this key art of them like stealing a bunch of like food and crap from what looked like an arcade,
Right.
and it was so fun, and it's like, oh, these are the type of criminals these guys are,
Yeah,
morons, and they're not really hurting anyone. But then at the end of this one, they literally hang a guy by a chain and blow up a skyscraper.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know. I think I like it. There's a very clear fall off point in the story. Fall off in the sense that you think, holy crap, did that just happen? They're making you laugh, and it's sort of slapsticky, and the things that blow up aren't really people. They're drones and robots and stuff, and it's like, he's crazy. And then when that last panel happens, you're like, he's crazy, but he's not funny crazy. He's
just murderer.
He's
Yes.
murderer, like he's Batman Joker crazy, and clearly the references are so clear to the Joker. But there's always this moment in the Batman universes where the Joker is fun, you know, he's crazy fun, but then there's a moment where he is, you get worried that he's actually. In French, you say inquiétant. Oh God, you worry about this
Psychopath,
thing.
right?
That,
Yeah, he's just,
yeah, you're all of a sudden, all the tone becomes serious, and you're like, holy crap, he's like dangerous. He's actually dangerous, and in a bad way, not just funny, I'm gonna blow up a robot way. So I think that brought it for me in that that last panel. So in that sense, it's a little bit. It tells you a lot about the character in the same way that the panel for Reinhardt with the dragons did. So even though it's not as impactful, I like it.
You know what it is? It was that one line that they added towards the end, which is like, maybe they got out. You remember what, like when they added that? I was just like, I mean, that's kind of like, you just commit to it. You know, like if you're gonna be crazy, just leave that line out.
There was this hand waving of that. It seemed like, you know, they were trying to keep it in
G-rated or something. You know,
or PG,
weird.
like the Batman animated series territory, where it still gets kind of dark and kooky, but it's still okay for your children to watch it. Whereas where this took it by the end, it's like, oh God, no! We just dipped right into like Dark Knight territory, where I'm not so sure I would let a 5-year-old sit down and hang out with it.
Right.
So, and I'm not saying I'm offended or bothered by that in any way, but I thought tonally, it seemed a little weird to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm right there with you, Chris. That was a point for me. It seemed like they were trying to explain, like, oh no, the hostages were fine. They were either never there in the first place, or they got out. It's totally cool. And cut to a scene where they murder a guy.
It's just Junkrat again being a psychopath. He's like, oh, maybe they got out, but you know, they're actually all dead, and that's, you know, he's just it's
we can always go back to just Junkrat being crazy to explain everything.
All right.
That's always going to be awesome.
Fair enough. All right. I don't know. I go back to that one image of them running through the arcade, stealing energy drinks and stuffed animals, and I'm like, yeah, I get these guys. They're evil, but they're not that evil.
Right.
They're just your mall rats with too much chunking engineering skills.
What do you guys think? So they're obviously taking artists for different ones, right? And they're just going to continue the comic for each individual story with the artists and writers that they're using. What do you think is going to happen when they all come together, though? Like, who's going to do the art for that one? If they have how many artists, like 15, 16 or whatever?
Well, I think it depends. If it's these ones, which are these vignettes that are clearly leading up to the launch of the game, I'm not sure we'll ever get that in comic form. I think we might. I think we're going to eventually get that in a short. Is my that's my assumption, because all of these shorts are about the, you know, it seems like the recall from Winston and all that jazz. So I'm hoping we'll see that in cinematic form. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a proper comic series after launch that's, you know, we actually can go to our local store and buy. And
well, it's planned, right? They've said
they definitely planned it.
It's already planned. It's going to come out a physical comic.
There you go. We already know it's going to be. That's different, because you're having to do something frequently and regularly, and it'll be going on. It'll be continued stories. So you're going to have to go a more traditional comic route, where you get an artist and kind of stick with them for a while.
Okay, yeah, I just wasn't sure if this was any indication of what their comic plans were, but that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm getting the sense that this is just for these small vignette stories that are leading up to the launch. That they're kind of.
I don't know that they're going to do all the characters. I think some of it is going to be filled by the shorts, which, by the way, I'm so sad we didn't get one for the open beta. I was sure we're going to get one for the open beta and one for launch. I'm not crazy, right? They did say they were planning for 4 of them before launch. I'm sure I read that somewhere, but maybe I
believe
imagined.
so as well, and also got information I'm not sure I'm allowed to share.
That's what I was
so
doing.
I'm not gonna say anything. That's why I'm playing dumb.
So,
we can't say anything, Patrick.
Would that mean if we get four of them before launch, do we get 2 in the next week or something? That would be awesome. But anyway, there's you
Wouldn't
guys
that be
are
cool?
making faces.
Wouldn't that be cool, Patrick?
But yeah, I'm sure there will be one right before launch and maybe one a little bit before that. So we'll see. But I'm sort of I'm not even sure I want them to do anything with all 21 characters, right? It's incredibly difficult to make that into a compelling story and not just have a couple of characters just show up for no reason and just be there and be, oh, that's my friend's cousin's daughter's dog friend or something. Like, it's like in order to have 21 compelling reasons for everyone to be there and do something and have a satisfying moment, it's super hard. So maybe it's possible, but for now, I think I'd rather they focused on 2 or 3 characters at a time.
I just want the Reinhardt comic. I'd be fine with just a Reinhardt comic, just this wandering, hungry German with power armor, kicking ass and eating wursts.
That would satisfy me as well.
That would be pretty good. I'm still curious about the Diva being a GSL champion and that whole bit too.
Yes, of course. I mean, I would love.
Interesting.
I would love to see every hero get their kind of day in the sun.
Yeah,
and that's I'm sure that's got to be addressed, in the long form comic that will be coming after launch. But
yeah.
Who knows? Do we know the plot of the long form comic? Like, is it taking place in the same timeline as the game? Is it taking place before the game?
I bet it has something to do with after we've seen maybe all the shorts, and it gives us some kind of starting point, I bet.
Yeah.
Because the recall happens, right? Now what? Then we got to see what happens after that, and yeah.
Yeah, this is like, again, I don't know what else other term to use, the extended universe or the universe that I've been the most interested in diving into in terms of Blizzard for the most part. And I'm wondering how much of that is me knowing I'm not going to get a whole lot of story in the game itself. But
oh, I see. Yeah, a byproduct of that.
Yeah, I don't know, because I really enjoy the lore of just about every darn Blizzard game. I think Diablo's is a little on the boring side, but a lot of it is told to you in the story. In the game itself. In StarCraft, you have the campaigns. In Warcraft, we had 3 RTSs and now an MMO. And we know we're really not getting any of that in Overwatch. And I'm wondering how much of that is influencing me, or how much of that is just the fact that I really dig these characters and I want to know more about them.
It's probably a bit of both. I mean, another piece of feedback I've gotten from the open beta was people telling me, oh, the characters are awesome, but I wish there was more story. I wish we knew more about them. And I wasn't going to say, oh, but there are the shorts and the things, but they were talking about in-game stuff. But I think, the characters are compelling when you play them for a little bit and see the interactions and see maybe a piece of comic or a short. It's just like, the superheroes in the Marvel universe or any kind of these kinds of characters. You want to have more stories told about them, and you want to watch them and, have their adventures and stuff. So I think it's the characters for me. It's
the next 20-year plan, Patrick, for Overwatch. we're going to have a movie about each 21 of these characters, and then, we'll have some like combined ones, of course, like the Avengers But they have a very long pipeline plan laid out for Overwatch.
I'm sure that they talk about that all the time, and I'm sure they actually do. And they'll see what happens if it warrants more investments in other types of media. But the games we've seen in the past 20 or 25 years from Blizzard have all kept going. And when they're saying it's the new franchise for us and it's a new IP, and when we do that, we're supporting it for a long time. This is not a throwaway game, right? I don't even think it's going to be the only game in the Overwatch franchise. So they're going to be there for a long time.
Yeah. Speaking of events and shorts and whatnot, we haven't talked about the Overwatch launch celebration that will be happening in a few select theaters, at least around the U.S. Is this happening worldwide?
This is happening.
I don't think so.
No, it's just, well, let me see. Their map is world. Let me see this. If there's any other thing.
No.
There's one. No, it's Alaska.
That's Alaska. That is still the U.S.
Yes, that's still the U.S.
Yeah,
it's just the U.S. then.
Okay, cool. So what's probably the coolest about this is when I checked it at BlizzCon, at DreamHack, when I heard about this, there weren't any confirmed Florida theaters that are doing it, but there is one now. The Cinemark Paradise 24 in
Davies,
which is
yeah,
damn near Miami, which is quite the drive for me. But
we're halfway to the Boca one, which is closer for you.
I'm splitting hairs at that point. Actually,
Yeah,
actually
So
no.
explain what it is because people don't know
Yeah.
necessarily.
Okay, so they're doing a launch celebration where there will be basically a special event screening happening in theaters that is full of Overwatch content. We know shorts will be shown. We don't know the final number, and some other exclusive.
All right,
content.
I get it. So you really want one next to your house, right?
Well, it's not even an option for me. I'm going to have a 3-hour drive at the least, no matter what happens. And actually, I
It's
think the
close
one
to me though. It definitely is closer to me.
I think the one in Davie is actually closer for me because I have to take 75, and it's closer to 75.
Is it? Let me see.
Yeah, totes.
Oh, Boca's. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Boca looks like it's another at
It's on
least
95. Yeah.
at least another 40 minutes north after I get off 75. Anyway, this is not interesting conversation for our listeners. They don't really care about my driving habit, but this is very exciting. There's quite a few theaters around the U.S. at least. You can go to tug.com. If you just type into your search bar Overwatch launch celebration, it's presented by Coca-Cola. You will find it.
You have to reserve them, guys. Like
you do.
They won't be. There's only like 9 guaranteed theaters, like
Yes.
just regardless of demand. But if you have to get at least 100, if you get your friends, get everybody to reserve these tickets, and then the theater will definitely be showing them.
Yeah, and it's actually not that easy
so
to.
jealous.
It's not super easy to find the map view. So when you go to the main page, click on the blue link that says Overwatch Launch Celebration presented by Coca-Cola, even though you're already on a page that says exactly that, because it will take you to another page that has a map view option, and you can see all of the theaters where this is a possibility.
Yeah, I agree. It is a weird. It's kind of a weird UI for this.
Yeah, it's
this
very strange. But
But it's Coca-Cola, guys. Coca-Cola is doing stuff for Overwatch. I mean,
Yeah.
I was just talking to Kiki.
Yeah.
They tweeted about Overwatch. Coca-Cola, not Coca-Cola Esports, but Coca-Cola's Twitter.
just
sets up
Coke.
Overwatch.
It's freaking
Yeah.
Coke. Also,
So that's pretty huge.
also my favorite soda. So Coca-Cola, if you would like to sponsor this show,
Yes.
just saying.
I will gladly hold the Coca-Cola every single episode in front of the camera.
Me too. 'Cause it would force me to keep Coke in the house again.
Yes.
But
I am so jealous of this. I'm very happy to be in Japan, but I wish right now I was able to celebrate the launch of the game with a bunch of people that are geeked out about the game, as geeked out as I am, and this seems like an excellent way of doing it. I really wish they did it in other places, other than the US. It's just get together with people who are going to be as excited as you are and watch these amazing shorts on the big screen. It's like, it's just making me. I can't wait for BlizzCon this year, and I figured out stuff, so I'll be there, and it will be fine. I'll be
Awesome.
but I can't wait for BlizzCon, and this is going to be sort of a pre-taste of BlizzCon, so I'm really jealous of you guys. And you have to go. You can't not go. If there's one,
Of course.
less than 5 hours away from your house, you have to go. Otherwise, it's like you're making me even sadder. You don't want me to be sad, right?
you know what
So
makes me
just-
sad, Patrick? That there's no theaters on the west coast of Florida that are doing this. That's what makes me sad.
What?
That's true. Making him drive, man. Making
Yep.
him totally drive.
How far is it going to be, the one that do it?
At least a 3-hour drive on a Sunday night.
Well, that's
Oh,
okay,
man.
right?
Oh man.
Yeah.
We don't work in an office anyway.
No, I don't. But my
you can come hang out with us. You
My
can come
better
hang with
half
me.
does.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, 120 minutes. This thing is 120 minutes. So lots of good stuff and possibly some swag too. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
maybe you don't know. You don't know.
Yeah.
Swag, but 120 minutes. What are they going to do for 100?
Yeah, I know, right?
That's like, if you add up all of the the trailer and maybe even the gameplay trailers, which I've watched dozens of times, that's about 30-40 minutes max,
Right.
with everything maybe 45. I could see them extending it to an hour or maybe a little bit more with additional fluff. But wow, that's 2 hours. That's impressive.
I'm getting my jimmies rustled by folks in the chat room saying I don't have work on Monday morning. It's just like, what do you think what do you guys think I do? You think I like sleep till 1 p.m.? I have a lot of crap to do.
No, but you could arrange your schedule to make it so you don't have to wake up too early on the morning.
You know, had
Monday.
you not talked to me literally the day after I came from 4 days of having to rearrange my schedule, I would probably have a more sunny disposition on the topic.
I've been underwater too today. It's been crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hear you.
And with that in mind, we really do kind of have to wrap up this because it's getting into the wee hours of the evening.
It's always
for me.
long, man.
Yeah, because we got so much to say. Every so far, Chris, since you have joined the show, every
me.
episode. No, I'm not blaming you. I'm saying every episode since you have joined, we've kind of looked at the nose and been like, I don't know, there's not that much stuff to talk about. Maybe we'll get out of here in 40 minutes, and it never happens. Never happens because we like the game so damn much. Also, we had I feel like the two comics this week, man. I'm actually, especially the Reinhardt one. It was a character I really wanted to dig into. I'm looking forward to getting more into that side of things as well. So, other than that, the only thing we're going to mention was there was a new IGN documentary. It's 3 parts. It's only 15 minutes in total. Really easy to get through it. Honestly, I feel like not a ton of new information. However, if you want to get the warm fuzzies, watching all of the developers talk about how Overwatch came together, because that's definitely the effect it had on me, go watch this. Also, the anecdote of a bunch of schoolgirls picking Diva at the drop of a hat totally had me just with the stupidest grin on my face. So
yeah, it was a really cool image, a really cool idea. Like they just picked Diva because she looks cool. They don't care about anything else. It's like, oh, she's awesome.
I also want to know what it says about me that I immediately picked Diva when she was
for the same reason.
Yep.
Yeah, there was one thing Scott Mercer mentioned, which was there was a multiplayer competitive mode in Titan that they kept playing, and they thought there was something there, and it seems like that's where the idea for, where they started thinking about doing Overwatch. So they're being a lot more open about what Titan was and the sequence of events that led from Titan to Overwatch. So if there was any doubt, I guess there wasn't much, but it's a very direct relationship.
Yeah. Well, awesome, folks. As always, we have links in the show notes to everything we talked about today. So if you missed the announcement about no competitive mode at launch, if you missed the comics, if you missed the IGN documentary, go to amove.tv/Overwatchers, look for the episode 19 post, and there'll be a link to the show notes in there. Follow it through, look at the Google Doc, and find them. That's going to do it. You can follow the show on Twitter at OverwatchCast. Our email is mailoverwatchers@gmail.com, and you can subscribe to us on iTunes and on youtube.com/AMoveTV. Patrick, where can folks find you?
Not Patrick on Twitter and Facebook. And you can find, actually, I'm going to promote a French show today. Le Rendezvous Jeu, which is my general gaming show, just had a Overwatch special episode. It was a 2-hour sort of introduction guide to the world of Overwatch and everything you needed to know for the alpha, for the beta, or the launch. I did that with my friend AlphaCast, who's a Overwatch streamer. Yeah, it's in French. So if you can't get enough of Patrick speaking French and of AlphaCast, who's a cool dude, just go listen to that. It's in the RSS feed.
That sounds awesome. I can't speak French, so I'm sure I won't understand a word you're saying, but still sounds really cool.
You'll understand a couple, like Overwatch, Junkrat, Farah. These will
so names. I will understand names, very specific names. Wonderful. Chris, how about you?
You can find me at twitter.com/ChamMV, twitch.tv/ChamMV. I'm going to have my show, Value Town, if you like Hearthstone, tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. Have Chalky on, just the winner of DreamHack. So he's going to be talking a little bit about it.
Just the winner of DreamHack. Just the winner of the first
DreamHack,
major post Whispers of the Old Gods standard tournament.
That's right. and this guy's been second so many times in the past, so it's just really, really happy for him, and just want to hear some more about it. So yeah, tune in if you like Hearthstone, and just everything JamMV, basically, just all the different channels. So
pretty sure you won't find another Chanman V on Google.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So you can find me on Twitter at Garrett Art. You can find all of the other podcasts I do, including this one, at twitch.tv. Go check that out. What should I pimp right now? Game of Thrones spoiler cast is actually up right now. It's called Embrace the Spoilers, Game of Thrones. I'm doing it with Jocelyn. We're spoiling the living hell out of season 6, and I'm having a really good time doing it. Because guys, I'm having a lot of trouble watching that show week to week. So
I am too. It's painful. It's like it always ends, and you're just like, I'm not sure. Like, want more?
Don't spoil anything.
No. I know. It's a general thing, right? It's just each week. It's like I want more, but at the same time, I'm just mad at the same time. So it's really, really weird. It's a real weird dynamic.
Awesome. Well, again, follow us in all those places. If you listen on iTunes, leave us a review. We appreciate those. Thanks to Flexmundo, The Real Obald, and Peter the Piper, who said this is the only show with hosts that I listen to enough that I can put aside my bitterness over their being in the beta. So, but I'm assuming this was written a little bit before the open beta. Thank you for your 5-star review, regardless of your anger, Peter the Piper. I don't feel it was misplaced because the beta was pretty awesome, and you should be angry you weren't in it. That's all I have to, I don't know. I'm not going to lie to the man. It was wonderful. That's going to do it. We will see you in 2 weeks' time when, well, God, is that actually, I didn't even realize this is going to fall on the release of Overwatch.
Yes.
My
Yes.
goodness.
Oh, wow.
That's
what
right.
Are we?
We're probably going to be playing.
And
right?
you're not going to be you'll still be in Japan, Patrick, right? So we'll still have to do the late evening time.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
So
Wait. Am I going to be at a theater? No, I'm not going to be at a theater.
No, it's on a Sunday. That's
should
on a Sunday.
Should we delay it by a day or two or something? We'll figure.
We'll
it
have
out.
to figure
We'll
that
figure
out.
it out.
I'm available, but
Are you? I'm sure you are, since you're a day in the future and your time is incredibly inconvenient for me.
trying to make your life harder every day, Garrett.
Wonderful. Well, you are succeeding like a widowmaker shot through my brain. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We will see you in a to be decided amount of time, because that's just how prepared we are.
That's right.
Until next time, good luck and have fun.